Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, well, we're going to get started here very quickly. I'm off of a very bad mood about Kaiserreich. I don't know if you saw my sort of end of that last series episode or not. I started another to make the first one of the next one, and I was just in such a bad mood. For about 5 minutes of it, I quit and then deleted that episode because it would have just been Angry Gamer playing Kaiserreich. So I thought therapeutically get into some Hearts of Iron 3, and I spent easily about an hour or so doing micromanagement before the episode. Which is the one that just came through. Okay, recon coordination. There we are. Yeah, we don't need to push forward on that. Until we get some of these others up and down going. And so, you know, I'm doing some necessary reorganization of getting some of these armies under Army Group South. I promoted von Manstein up to command Army Group South because von Rundstedt is commanding the Indiana over headquarters. That's just too far away from Germany to control everything out of. Okay, we won that battle, good. And now we've cut off them from their supplies, the Allies from their supplies. Overrun those garrison units. We will move in here. Take these last few provinces. Excuse me. And Turkey. Yes, you may have energy, though we're getting ready to invade you. I know I'm almost within less than a point of being able to have them join the Axis, but since I'm sort of planning it, not for January, but January's almost done. Maybe February, but that's still maybe pushing it. I just want to invade. They took too long. Gun ability twin engine airplanes. Took too long, so I want to invade. Yeah, this will improve. Particularly that flying boat, but also all those heavy transport. Iran, I'm still on the fence about whether to invade or not. Well, now that you're no longer being attacked, you go on the offensive. Oh, no, you can. I don't think they're going to get there in time. Okay, Peru. Okay. Mobile unit training. That's up a nice and 42-ish. And though we are in January now, 43. Yeah, we should be doing that. Let's cut off their escape, their retreat. Not that it would go very far. Oh, and these guys down here are here finally. Okay, yes. Up to there. To there. Are you guys still on their back? Yeah. Yes. Now we'll get these guys out so they're not absorbing supplies. And I feel a lot less concerned about them because there's no longer any basing around here for them to run in. Well, I guess there is the basing from Britain here. All these parrot units fighting desperate battles against armored divisions. How are we doing? Are we through? Most? No, still got a bunch more. Fine. Oh, okay, submarine crew berthing. It's going to take longer to research. Let's get on that. Okay, well. I'm going to cut that retreat off. Long range air research or long radar. Ah. Okay, no, that's under avionics. Yes, let's do that, though it's not terribly useful. At least to me at this time. Okay, we won the Battle of Johannesburg. Sort of somewhat, well, they're getting there. But I guess there's no point in really waiting. Push in. Okay, let's take a good look at the terrain. Yeah, the Caddy McCaddy or whatever the hell is part of out here. Don't know if it's more, I think, here. But this is, I know it's sort of a desert, but there's this sort of swamp-like quality out there that's not swamp looking like that with lots of plants. It's very I want to say dry, but very, very unvegetated. But it is sort of weird swampy kind of thing, and may not be best to put my panzers through that, because I can send them out here into South Africa or Southwest Africa. Okay, looks like we're getting more or less enough supplies, but barely. Maybe we should see about doing a naval invasion of Dakar or something to squeeze them from the other side now that we've got this done. Good, fully done. Driving out into the desert just to drive out into the desert. Got the territory back for Vichy France. Sort of hoping this will mean that the Allies will be more interested in wanting to be aggressively invasionistic, particularly the Americans. We all want a competent opponent. We still want to win, but we want to think like we've had to work for it, not just overcoming. We would give them money for crude oil. Yeah. I'm sort of wanting to stock up on my money, but and we're saving for the first of the month save. We got the last of the month save. Okay, recon unit communication. Affecting too many unit types, so it doesn't display. Now back up to here. Let's do electronic computing machine. Build our own version. What would German call it? Not IBM. Well, yeah, probably not IBM. Zeus Z1000 or something. That was the main, Germany's main mechanical computer scientist. He didn't do electronic computer science. Not that he couldn't have, I just don't know enough about him, but his computer was actually a rather good computing element, but it was mechanical based. Okay. May have used electricity to move things, maybe, but it didn't store and deal with information electronically. You know, like I'm saying, it may have moved the gears electronically, but that was all done mechanically. Okay, well, building a few more of these transports, which we'll need. We're getting some of these, although we're upgrading or researching better stuff. Well, you know, if we're getting in next to the Americans, we're gonna want more flying boats and naval bombers, because if we got air bases in range, we can just pound their navy, and if they are then coming out to play, as it were, you know, with our navy, you know, having superior air power even from land-based air power, we can overwhelm them. Okay, I think it's down in here somewhere. I think I went too far. No, I think it's further down. Looking for where I'm sticking all my sub-commands so I can find them quickly if I really... no, that's too far. It's a green army command, and hey, Rotterdam, Paris, no, it would be past Paris. This is for this command level, radiating out from this place, and his breast is the location looking for, and it's a naval HQ. Sorry if this is boring. There we are. I know it's out in the West Frankreich, but we'll send you here temporarily. Now, I did send my my second major naval squadron down to here, but then I sent it back, mostly to pick up units and things like that. This one, you go up there. Okay. Yes, this will probably be a walkover since we don't have other major opposition at the moment. Okay, well, is there a Army Group E? That is here. Okay, Harp off. Do we want to punch up one of these other? Guderian is a... Do I want to use Guderian here and then we should be bringing that forward for invasion duty itself as a combat leader. Oh, I think he was easily talented enough to command higher. Modal? Yeah, let's promote Modal up. And well, let's see if we can promote somebody up instead of some of these other guys that I really don't know their names. Hopner needs a promotion. See, he needs a promotion. He's a good corps commander, but he's going to get a panzer group now. Brandenburg, he's pretty good. I don't know if you guys... Arn? Okay, yes, he needs a promotion. As well. Under Guderian. Ah, yes, he should get... Well, look at me before... Because yes, he should get a promotion too. Well... How's he doing for... Well, no, let's use some of these better guys. Okay. So indecisive here. Okay, Panzer Group A4. Panzer Group 4. Yeah, Modal's getting produced up. We're gonna use Von Arm there. And here, let's use yeah, a lot of older Modal. That's doing good. Yes, so there we go. He will command that. We will Harris group there. And yeah, Papa Hoth. And because I don't remember any of these damn numbers, well, let's do 64th Panzer Army Corps. No, I pulled away a lot of the support elements. I think is where what these guys have happened to. These are all late war, good defensive combined arms commander. I'm looking for a good offensive guy. Okay. There's so many. That's removed a lot of them there. Oh, he needs a promotion. And so these guys will take over that heavy armor. Not that a defensive guy can't go offensive, it's just he doesn't have oh, this is just an HQ. Oh no, it's a single battalion. When an upgrade happened, yeah, we'll promote him up as well. They can earn their you, boss. And I don't know if we're gonna use you, but we'll call you the 66. I just figure I've used. And so, who is going to take this? I don't think we have very many forested areas in Turkey now. So he's going to take that. We have these other units here. That need a corps commander. Demo Hoover. Not very many, although they're shifting their forces away from here. Mountains here, but once we get moving into this, there will be, so that's why we have some mountain troops. Oh, he needs a... Yeah, that's probably what a lot of these... Oh, well, let's attach you to a... Let's attach you to the far away there. I think that would be good. Yeah, under Hausa. A little too far, but once he gets up in here, it may not be. We are straining their logistical resources here, but okay, you're almost there. Oh yeah, that repeating, okay. Direct fire unit training advanced, great. Yeah, but I want to make sure we get some of these other encryption machine and small warship radar, which I think will be a grayed out. Yes. Need to do that eventually. Damage control systems. That's useful. I want to do that. That upgrades. Deploy the 70th Armor Corps to Norway. 5 manpower. Yeah, okay, we'll do this. And rise from Fliegerschule. Yeah, I went from not doing these to doing these. Almost sort of too easy. Okay. SS paper divisions. Divisions insignias are my design and are based on their name. You will get events from the divisions with some background for reasons why the unit logo as it is. Okay, this is from Alexei J, do you want to form the SS paper divisions? Okay, I guess so. Now, don't know if I've really looked through this in any of the earlier versions or not. But there is a map that, by taking from what he is saying here, paper divisions, as in divisions that never really existed, but on paper. And he's created some of these divisional symbols. Some of this is, I don't know, a Dutch or Belgian Waffen-SS division that was created late 1944, maybe even 45, you know, as the Germans were losing. And because I've read about in my Uniforms and Organization of the Waffen-SS series of books, some of these units that they may have been like a whole battalion's worth of troops assigned to them, and in a process of forming, quote unquote, but the war's collapsing, and some of the like the French Waffen-SS division Charlemagne, I don't know, could that be it? I don't know, or something else. Basically was French collaborationists, the of the milice, not just like your usual sort of police or other people that went along with the occupation and whatever, but the real sort of hardcore collaborationists that were following the Germans out of France, or at least out of liberated areas of France. The Germans sort of because then the Germans knew who these people were and they were retreating with them, rounded all these people up, and that may sound sort of like being arrested, and I don't quite mean it that way, but collected them and say, yeah, you used to be an informant, a local police officer type, or agent of some element of the occupation somewhere here, but we're no longer occupying the city in which you're living in, and you're no longer of use to us of that, so we're dumping you all without your consent into a Waffen-SS. Normally it's one of the DER of the divisions, not core SS units, into these units to then now, here's a new uniform, here's a rifle, go fight. That's what a lot of these, if that's what I'm understanding this to be correct. And so a lot of these didn't get official design symbols, because everything's collapsing and all this good. And it looked good on paper when formed, sent back to Berlin and Hitler. And, oh, well, we've now got a French Waffen-SS division. Yeah, no. It was called that. That's why. And these were forming up. And some of these units were, as, they were sort of forming up in this part of Germany. Most of them are in this part of Germany. Were being formed up and organized up. The Allies came in and plowed through this, so they never really got anywhere. So that's why they're paper divisions. But I'll get back to a point. There is a map that I don't even know if it still exists. Photos of it exist, but it was done sort of around this time, late 44, early 45. That was a map roughly like this part of the world, with a bunch of divisional type symbols on it, including a bunch of more colored versions for various legions out here. That was sort of this Waffen-SS divisional map. It's sort of like this, of all these divisions. And a bunch of them only known records of them, or some of them, are on this map. And it's thought that this map is real. It's thought, but it real as in made during the war and made during the made by the SS. I almost said Waffen SS, but made by somebody in the SS, as opposed to a post-war fantasy thing. That they think it's real in that sense, but it could some of the stuff they think is like fevered dreams of, well, let's the Romanian 3rd Waffen SS division or something, or whatever it might be that they sort of stuck on this map as. Whether you want to call them fantasy units or hopeful units or that kind of thing. And there very well may have been some inter-office memos and we should recruit this kind of thing up and whatever going on, but records destroyed or otherwise lost, which may still, could still theoretically be in the U.S. archives, but that's fairly well documented. But still could be, a lot of stuff went into the black hole of the Soviet Union. And they're still digging stuff out, and stuff is misfiled, misplaced, and they're still digging it out. You could easily find a few filing cabinets full of paperwork that was confiscated at some point during the, Soviet drive and occupation, and then just got misfiled and no one cared because it's all gone and whatever, and just there. So we may find more out in the future, but that's what I'm presuming these are. So yes, we will take this, and I will comment, I hopefully favorably, and on that. Okay, well, we've got a lot of these coming in, a bunch more with a bunch of those things coming. Oh good, a bunch of our infrastructure is hit. That's why we are here it's still, they're still buildings, but hopefully we'll supply more supplies. Yes, sort of redundant, but to that part of the world, including that's going to get one more level up for supplies flowing through there. I think that's most of what we're going to do for infrastructure builds that way, but I do want to quote-unquote look inside of Britain better. As you can see, we're getting more and more as our radar is expanding. And since I have, it's not, I don't see it as a waste. I could build more divisions, but I just don't think I need to, as in, more. More ground divisions of one form or another, but I don't think that's a real issue at the moment. Sort of want to look inside Spain a little bit, but also into here, though this may be covering it. I've got that there, but we're going to overrun this fairly fast. Well, we don't have here is a look inside the Soviet Union. Obviously, there are not a lot of units right on the border, so I don't know where they're going. These guys are going somewhere. And there were a lot of units that went east. Don't know what shape they were in, but there were a lot. And Here I'm mostly wanting to look out to sea to better spot ships and aircraft. They're moving around. Fortunately, I can't build in Japanese-held territory. I'd love to. I'd give them some radar production. One thing part of what I see as my continuing job here is to analyze the differences between Hearts of Iron 4 and 3, and like I've said before, I clearly believe ultimately in the long run Hearts of Iron 4 is going to be a great thing. I may be wrong about that, but that's my belief. But I'm definitely not trying to sell you on it today. Like, oh, you gotta convert now over to it. No, not trying to sell you on it today, of what it is now. Let's go here. But I am trying to let you know what it is now, to see if it is something you want to play, possibly. Which is, I think, different. But one thing I like about with your puppets, you can, to some degree, build in their territory, but not above their capabilities. Oh, you need to be attacking here. Okay, well, let's attach you to, yeah, sure, let's get some command, some experience flowing up the chain. Not that it's going to do a lot of good for one battle, but see, now that's with hitting them with real forces. A bunch of French units, okay, good. Is that ability to build, but only to that local, to that puppet's level of technology. Meaning, I can't come in and build, say, superior German radar if my puppet Slovakia has no radar technology. That, I think, is a downside to it. But at least you could build some. So if Slovakia, theoretically, or Vichy France doesn't have the ICs to be building radar here, because they're trying to build up their basic units or some other thing, at least I could build some radar in my puppet's territory. So I like that. Active sonar for submarines, which makes them more visible, but also makes them more effective in other ways. Hopefully, well, seeing that, and we have, even though we have other things we want to do, let's see if we can research something here that makes them sub-detection, sea defense. Well, that's good. Sonar detection equipment, surface detection, but they're already doing batteries, AA, fire control. Yeah, okay, we're going to do sub-detection equipment. Hopefully that will help negate, although that it doesn't help keep them from being detected, but it will give them better defense and whatnot. Okay, Kampfgruppe SS Polizei. In February 1943, the unit of the SS Polizei Division was transferred to the west to retain and upgrade to the Panzer Grenadier Division, formed the Kampfgruppe. The units of, I think what this is, but I'm not sure, is that when the division was sent east, Tunisian, was sent east, they sort of had a rump group, maybe, or sent west to reorganize. There was still, they sort of pooled the equipment and some of the troops that was left in the east. And they're just going to leave the equipment there in the east instead of trying to send that equipment to France. Then we're going to get all new equipment. Because you got to remember, I've talked about how one of the reasons that the Waffen SS divisions were elite, not because they were, you know, super great fighters or that kind of thing, just because they continually got newer and more equipment than standard divisions. Okay. The Corps Tunisian was formed to command the hastily assembled and transferred Luftwaffe and flak forces in the Axis bridgehead in Tunisia in the aftermath of Operation Torch. Leaguer Corps surrendered. Okay, which we're not going to do. Yes, we're going to do that. Now, let's find that conf group. Poland Side Division. There we go. Yes. Cool. Okay. Nederland is with it. Okay. And that, like we were talking before, sometimes SS Nederland, which would have been, you know, a regiment or something, or a battalion or two or something. I don't think Nederland ever got a 9,000 at any one moment. Why is that over in Italy when I was looking for, when it should have been up here? Oh well, don't understand. Would send more forces down here, but I don't think we can supply more forces. So, this is good landing craft type units, and we have some reasonably decent landing type. So let's go here. Pick them up. Yes. Vichy France? Yes, we may have. Oh, they're ground attacking us from Britain. Their French commanded loyalist HQ is battling it out. Gotta have some bunch additional support units. That made it a little too tough for my HQs. Okay. Yeah. I think we're gonna just try to do it with those two divisions. Now, can we get close enough? There's somebody out there, but we do have Bismarck and the Tirpitz. Just, because it's expected, as a few of the commenters have shown, a lot of detailed micromanagement and rambling discussions on historical topics, and I hope you do enjoy it. I was thinking about sometime earlier today about the Bismarck, and I was sort of thinking about it in terms of my other Black Ice series, playing as Britain, and this Swordfish torpedo bomber. And I first said that they're the ones that sunk the Bismarck. No, they didn't. They put a torpedo or two into the Bismarck. The primary one was the rear one that, or the one in the rear that jammed its steering gear that allowed the Royal Navy ships to come up and pound it. And that was a real sort of surface battle of the, you know, to sink that. And the Brits did take some considerable damage and loss of life. And obviously it happened out here off Brest. Well, out here. And yes, a lot of my knowledge on the Bismarck comes from movies Sink the Bismarck. So if I'm getting stuff wrong, blame it on that as much as anything else. But the Bismarck was the wrong ship for what it was sent to do. Now, this isn't an evaluation of its specific stats versus other stats of other ships or something. It's more of the concept And what it was sort of done with it, it went out with Prince Eugen, that up to here, and then out to sea to raid the convoys. Well, Prince Eugen, or Prince Eugene, I presume named after Prince Eugene, or as we know him in from British history, that was American history at the time, basically, was a right-hand man of the Duke of Marlborough in his campaigns, brilliant campaigns along the Rhine against the French. I understand the Germans may know him a bit more for his campaigns against the Turks or something. But Prince Eugen, or Prince Eugene, this is what we sort of know him for, was the company ship. Obviously, Bismarck is named after Bismarck, the guy who unified Germany to a way. Obviously, it wasn't unified Germany. It was creating a German empire while kicking out the Austrian parts of that empire. But I guess Hitler is the first person to really unify Germany, if you don't count Switzerland as part of Germany. But yep, Hitler did a lot of bad things, and I don't know whether unifying Germany was a bad thing in and of itself. Obviously, under Nazi leadership, that was a bad thing, but just whether unifying it is bad in and of itself, I don't know. But that's the Bismarck, named after, just asides. They went out here to do convoy raiding. Well, the Bismarck was built to be a line of battle battleship. A good friend of mine who I knew for years, not sure if he's living in the Philippines now or not. He's not Filipino, but he married a Filipino woman and was thinking of retiring out to the Philippines. But he, before that, moved because his Boeing job moved up to Oregon, and so I've lost touch with him. But he was a real big fan of battleships and studied battleships. And knew that the carriers displaced the battleships in the story of warfare, but he was a big battleship kind of guy. World War I, World War II, that kind of thing, the dreadnought type battleships. Well, see, and that's what the Bismarck and the Tirpitz were designed to do, to form the line of battle, basically to fight in battles like the Jutland, depending on you're going British or English, battle of World War I. You know, that they're all lined up in lines, and you go after the British that are lined up in lines, and your heavy battleships are shooting at each other. That's what it was designed to do, and I think it was designed to do that very well. Again, someone could evaluate whether it's, and I know I got a few people that do watch some of my episodes here that are very much naval proponents and could go into much better detail. Because yes, the Bismarck sunk the hood, but that was sort of accidental. In a sense, obviously they were trying to, but they got a very lucky shot that the hood had its defects because the London Naval Treaty limited the weight of the ship. So the like upper deck armor, not the side armor, but the upper deck armor was weak, and so a round just was able to penetrate it, which, because it was weak, that wasn't the lucky, but it just came plunging in and hit one of the magazines. You know, had it not hit the magazine, I don't think it would have. It might have won the battle and still sunk the hood, or not. I don't know. But it was that lucky hit that just blew apart the hood and sunk it. But I do really think the Germans built, in the Tirpitz and the Bismarck, two very good battleships for surface fleet action in the line of battle. But it wasn't designed to be a raiding ship. Maybe the pocket battleships are, because those are sort of super battle cruisers. So the battle cruisers that are the raiders or the corsairs that are designed to go out and do surface raiding, in that they should be faster than any of the battleships or carriers because carriers, the Americans, and they did get them faster and faster over time, but weren't necessarily designed to be super fast ships, but faster than the battleships that were designed to go out there. So not just if they see a battleship, can they go faster than it, but can they get out and sustain speed to break away, and so that the pursuing fleet just goes, hey, I don't know where they are. They could be anywhere, as opposed to we know they're just out of our range, but just over the horizon somewhere when we're following them. No, they're just that they were able to break away and then not be closely pursued. That's what they were designed for, and the Bismarck was not designed for that. Again, you can look at the stats on its speed versus the others and how well it did. And so, also battle cruisers are designed and built to be cheaper to build than a Bismarck or Tirpitz. So that, not that it doesn't matter if you lose them or not, but it's not nearly as a critical thing, because a battleship is a capital investment, capital ship, that is a massive investment of a nation that, without being able to make a decision that affects the outcome of the war, it is not worth losing. And I'll break that down. A decision, meaning who's going to control the Navy. Not, who wins this battle or not, but you can, like a decision. With the Battle of Trafalgar, Nelson, although he died in the battle, made a naval decision that said that Britain was now the world's superpower when it comes to naval assets. Not necessarily any other elements, but it was the first naval superpower in the world that was basically undisputed. Now, the French kept building line of battle ships. Napoleon, because that happened in 1805, kept building line of battle ships, and at times were able to get, at least briefly, local supremacy in a region and having more line of battle ships out there. But they were never able to come and challenge a major British fleet ever again through the rest of the Napoleonic era for another 10 years. And there was no real chance until you could have a prolonged period of peace and a prolonged period of French building of naval vessels for the French to do that. So that was a decision, meaning whatever it cost the British, it was worth it, because they decided the ultimate naval campaign of the war. They sunk the combined Spanish and French fleets, or the great bulk of them. A bunch of them made it back into port, but enough were sunk and destroyed or captured. A lot of the ones that were captured were later sunk out in the storm that happened basically the next day. Yes, I know a lot about other periods of history. If we ever get to games that play all this, you could hear me ramble on about that too. And so that was a decision that happened. And so almost any cost, so long as it wasn't a Pyrrhic cost, and that all of your fleets, or your main service fleets, are destroyed too, then there is not a decision, it's just a draw, meaning everybody goes back and starts rebuilding their fleets. No, it was a decision that Britain was going to win the naval battle, and the French continued for the next 10 years, setting out corsairs of various sizes and classes to raid the convoys of the time, as well as loan shipping. They continue to do blockade runners. They continue to try to do landings and supportive operations in various coastal areas of France, and would move from port to port to try to dash around carrying food and supplies. So they continue to use the Navy, but it was no longer going to be, if we build another Grande Armée, however big Napoleon might be able to build the Grande Armée, it ain't ever going to get to Britain. So you could, if you want to, you could completely send all of your frontline combat units out of Britain. You no longer needed any frontline. You needed militia or other reserve type units to control the populace, to maintain security, but you no longer needed anything to protect Britain in a military sense, so you could dump it all into the later, once Napoleon makes this stupid move of deposing the Spanish king and putting his brother on the throne. You could send all of your British armies to the Spanish campaign or to some other Mediterranean campaigns, and even if those armies were completely destroyed and captured and marched into captivity, Britain itself was still safe. So that is a decision that was made in the Battle of Trafalgar that changed permanently for that time period of the British Napoleonic conflict wars. Britain ruled the seas. So a capital ship of the type of Bismarck is only worth the loss of a decision like that you were going out to. It is not worth the loss if going out to try to sink some transports. Even if theoretically the amount of goods that are sunk are equal to or greater than the cost of building the Bismarck, it's not worth it, because the time lag once you start building the Bismarck until it's done is a long time. And I don't think anybody thought that having the Bismarck out running around out here was going to cause the British to surrender. I mean, it wasn't going to be a decision of deciding the fate of Britain. It just wasn't. Maybe a fleet of Bismarcks sailing around out here that had created a decision that stopped the British fleet from being able to stop this. That would be it, but not a lone Bismarck was never going to do it. So sending out a battle cruiser or possibly a pocket battleship, loss would be worth it. And then, like the Grass Spey down here, obviously the Grass Spey was self-sunk, basically on a British bluff, because it had minor damage. British made out that they had a larger fleet, but it could have fought its way out, and whether it would have ever fought its way back into Germany or simply fought its way out and tried to continue to sink more vessels, that could be worth it, both in the idea of sinking more vessels than, cost of vessels than it costs, along with diverting a lot of naval assets out to other fields of operation. That could be worth it. Pocket battleship, maybe. Battle cruiser, well handled, could be. So it was the wrong ship for the job. I don't know the thinking behind why the hell it was sent out, whether it was Hitler that pushed the Navy to do it, or whether it was Reeder feeling threatened by Donuts and his submarine campaign, getting all the headlines, and, well, hey, I want to be relevant too. So they sent out this whopping great ship, and as sort of the idea is to, once they got out, to split up and have the Prince Eugen go out and do its own thing while the Bismarck does its thing. It just isn't worth it. Now, I don't think the British would have successfully sunk the Bismarck had the Bismarck been handled correctly even in the campaign that it did. If you had put a proper amount of supporting ships, like cruisers, destroyers with it. Now the destroyers would need legs long enough, basically fuel primarily, but food and water as well, to stay operating out there long enough on alongside of it. And I don't know the cruising range effective of German destroyers at the time, but they needed some of those with them. And then whether you build a fast fleet collier, even though they don't use coal, it'd be oiler maybe, I guess, that could keep up with the maximum speed of the Bismarck, that would stay out of combat range of any other, surface combat vessels, would have anti-aircraft stuck around on it, but to fuel and maintain the destroyers with it if you needed to do it. But it would have to be a very fast vessel. if you'd done that, you would have a an anti-aircraft umbrella to put around the Bismarck to shoot off all those swordfish that were coming in. Whether they would have shot them all down or not, I don't know, but they would have at least been out there, been around, creating a larger bubble, a lot more anti-aircraft going up. They would have anti-submarine capability. Because, let's just say, Bismarck's coming in, you launch the swordfish attack, and you get, I think it was hit twice. Once sort of like a midships or forward or something, but they quickly sealed up the watertight compartments. And so damaged, but still fully operational. It was the second hit that hit the steering gear that made it so it could only go in circles. But let's just say that you didn't jam up the you didn't get the golden BB like the golden BB that killed the hood. Got the golden BB that made it so it couldn't make it into port. Let's just say it could be making it into port, but the British realized that once the Bismarck was out and about, that it might very likely want to come into a French port, that they say it sent submarines sitting off of these major French harbors out a ways enough so that they wouldn't get bumped into by patrol boats or by German submarines going in and out, but enough to spot a surfaced or on the surface battleship coming by and set up and put a bunch of torpedoes into it. Because battleships don't have anti-submarine capabilities. But they don't have basic sonars, they don't have depth charges or any of that kind of stuff built into them that a screen of destroyers would need to have there. So you could easily sink it with submarines, because even though it may be lost out into the Atlantic, it's not lost as to where it would need to go for refueling and resupply at some point. Even if it does go out and sink a couple of convoys, it's going to come back in here sometime, and you can park 6-8 submarines down here and just rotate them as needed. So you need that support element to properly use a battleship. And had you done that, and they would also be a screening element for surface warfare ships. One of the main, the British were getting more and more radar going, but I don't know how well the radar worked on any of the attacking ships, if it even had it. Quite honestly, I don't know. I just don't know. But without good radar, I mean, because you can have radar that, oh, there's a ship in that direction off there and that way, on a certain bearing, but that doesn't mean that you got good enough radar to know just how far away it is, precisely. So that if you have some destroyers, they could literally put up a screen. They're called a screen, a smoke screen, so that you can't see the Bismarck and you can't see where the rounds are falling, because they're being arced in by enemy vessels, so that the destroyers could throw up a smoke screen easily enough to hide the Bismarck, and then the Bismarck can, if it's going to battle the enemy, can move in and out of that smoke screen and fire, and then move back into it, and use the destroyers out as eyes to observe other British capital ships to try to go after just one when only one's going to be in range, but if there's going to be 3 in range, move out and around. So had they done that correctly, it could have been a very powerful vessel. Now, again, like I said, getting out here and spending some time, you either need to have this purpose-built, very fast refueling vessel, or you need to keep it within range of a port, and where they continue to use the Tirpitz as a threat to convoys going to Russia. It did go out some, but not so much. And it sort of got to the point that the Germans didn't want to risk losing it as a propaganda thing. Is why they didn't use it, but as much as they could have. But had you had the Bismarck and Tirpitz together, and had you put a proper screen on it, they could have played holy hell on movements to Russia up here. And sure, the British Navy's best Navy in the world at the time. Eventually, by the end of the war, it was the American Navy, but at the start of the war, it was the British Navy. They would have to escort it as if they were doing a line of battle, and they would have to have not just 2 battleships, they'd have to have 4 or 6 battleships, which means all those battleships couldn't be operating in the Mediterranean, whether it's trying to sink the Italian fleet or to shore bombard other places or other sorts of things. So, yeah, the Bismarck needs to have this. And this is what hopefully I'm doing well here, is that we have the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, which are good heavy battleships, but I've got some destroyers and only just, well, these are 2 flotillas, is what they represent, and some light cruisers, which should help it battle submarines, which should help it battle light vessels, help it deal with any air power, and even help against other capital ships. So, well, this has gone on long enough, and I think I achieved my goal of rambling on an interesting, hopefully, World War II topic. Please post your questions, comments, suggestions below, and your corrections as well if I'm getting stuff wrong. And thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos, and please post or please subscribe if you haven't already. Love to keep you around on the channel. Thanks so much. See you next time for some more Hearts of Iron.